Outside? Everything is okay?
Yeah, everything is all right. We'll just wait 1 more minute and we will be starting. Thank you so
Okay,
much.
no problem.
So perfect. I think we will be starting right now. For the newcomers, please take a seat. You can click on any chair you want to enjoy this presentation and use the screen zoom. Also, you have access to a chat, a public chat. So please feel free to share your thoughts on this presentation. We want as interactive as possible. This topic is very new for most of you, or not, because you've been experiencing for 3 days now the virtual world, this 3D environment for Ed Universal International Convention. So yeah, please, we will have a Q&A moment at the end to ensure them all. But yeah, just shoot them in the chat. That will be okay for us. So I'm very glad to have this opportunity to share a little bit of what we do at Komodal. I will be presenting this. I will be presenting also what is virtual world, what is exactly this technology, and maybe do a little comparison of what we've been experiencing for the 2 past years altogether. It has been quite challenging, I have to admit, but I'll try to have those words for you to understand what is exactly this tech. But most of this presentation will be focused on virtual world for higher education, of course. So why virtual world should be a central topic. We think it should be a central topic for business schools today. So for this panel discussion, I will be having two amazing partners with me. I will be presenting just for now Anta DJIGA, and she will be presenting in a few minutes her experience of a virtual world. So Anta DJIGA is lead for projects that integrate blended learning and a fantastic partner of ours. Working for Albiways, the multi-specialist in professional learning and organizational transformation. Basically, she helps company to dare more and use technology, digital solutions in the good way to serve learning and training purposes. We also have with us in this panel session, normally Michael RYALL. He's experiencing a few technical issues to connect, and that would be a pity to not have him in this panel session because I really like his opinion on virtual worlds for teaching. Hopefully, he can connect in the meantime. And if not, I will be sharing maybe with Ed Universal a few thoughts he has on this technology to help you understand more his point of view. But Michael RYALL is professor of strategic management at the University of Toronto, and he's an economist trained in the game theory. His career-long passion is investigating human learning in complex, interactive, but also dynamic settings. So virtual worlds are the perfect thing for him. Which led him actually to collaborate with us last year and try this interesting experience of hosting in 100% virtual campus his lectures. So it was basically a 30-ish people connected for a lecture, so MBA students. And he will be also sharing his point of view, his thoughts of where the technology should lead us. But first, I would like to do is a short introduction on this technology. a short introduction on virtual worlds. So I'd like to compare both digital and virtual tools. So most of you have been probably experiencing what we call today in so many ways virtual events. Some of them on video conference tools, traditional ones, some of them on digital platforms like we have here, and which we consider basically internet browsing. It's not that we consider them internet browsing, that it's just that they are. You can see 3D assets, you can see 3D environments, but you're not experiencing any embodiment and feeling of presence in those type of tools. They are perfect for quick introduction on topics and having resources or materials available for a specific community for an event. But we consider them passive format of participation. Whereas a virtual world using video game codes, so basically if we had to, let's say, characterize those type of platforms, we have one which is more like a internet website and the other one more like a video game. So virtual worlds are perfect environments that promote interactivity and allow manipulation of objects, of 3D assets, having movement. But basically, this is possible because you have your avatar, because you have your own person inside this virtual environment, which allows, of course, this active participation that you've all been experiencing for the past few days. So basically, having the possibility to have a chat whenever you want, get stopped by a colleague or a former, let's say, person that you've been contacting with. You have this spirit of serendipity inside those virtual world, but also the possibility to dance, to have fun. So there are so many ways to interact with all the community you are basically at Universal. So what we do at Komodal basically is that we try to empower professionals to use this type of technology, first to understand it, second to ask the good question of why this type of technology could be beneficial for my users, for my different issue that I find here. So basically, it can be this crisis that we've been all experiencing. The COVID situation was very challenging, but there are so many others. So basically, at Komodal, what we do is that we tech monitor all these technology related to virtual worlds. So there are more than hundreds. You can see those fun appearances, those avatars, but all are for professional purposes and B2B, let's say, connections and interactions. Virtual worlds can also helping to thrive, helping communities to thrive and to connect from remote, from a distance. Here. So again, if we take a short definition, and if we get back on the different elements that I've been giving here, a virtual world is a collaborative environment because it allows a lot of people connecting at the same time. So it's multi-users. It is interactive. Using this real-time technology, it makes us it makes possible people to interact in the same time in a very direct way. And it's generated by the computer, but of course it can be available on a tablet, on a smartphone. It can be also available for the one that already knows this technology of virtual reality headsets. And it is accessible remotely. That's the power of virtual worlds. Those are the different virtual worlds that we operate here at Komodal that are, for one of those, more related to certain topics. So these are very different from one another. Some are very campus-like the one you are right now. So very similar to what a business school, what a campus. I think we've seen it in the Let's Meet in My Campus series for now 3 days. That you have this possibility to wander in the alleys, go to the library, go to a master class or an auditorium in a real campus. So why not in a virtual campus? So Virbila, Frame, Tech Adaptica are those type of technologies. And then you have other ones that can be also connected to different tools that you already use, digital tools that you use, for instance, in a business school, for some of you. Like for instance, a learning management system. So Tech Adaptica, for instance, is a good one for this topic. So of course, if you have any question at the end of the session or even after that, I will be happy to answer all of your question, of course. So now I would like to switch to something very concrete, very very straightforward, and that will give you a very great example of how this technology is deployed inside an higher education organization, a business school. One of our first partner and client, Neoma Business School. So when Neoma came to us and said, okay, I would like to go for this technology, this specific technology, I would like to open my 4th campus, and it is going to be 100% virtual. It was, of course, pushed by this crisis that we all experience, and we are still experiencing, unfortunately. But Neoma is opening in 2020 its first business school, 100% virtual, and this is the first business school in Europe doing this thing. So this campus stands as an innovation unprecedented in Europe because of its scale, because of its importance in the world of education technologies, which of course ultimately shows Neoma's commitment to innovation. They always been around those topics, but it is also an invention of a new learning environment that blends in class and distance formats. So here are a few elements that I wanted to highlight that shows why a business school should absolutely at least be interested or get to know a little bit more about that technology. So of course it creates a fun and a very gratifying educative experience while remote. So basically when you're a business school that offers only remote classes, I know it exists, those type of tools can be very interested. But if you want to create this hybrid model that everyone wants to have, this is a great start. This is the first milestone to get to it, I'd say. It also avoids, and this is what our partner told us in the beginning, and the first, let's say, advantage of that technology, it is that it avoids tiring aspects of video conference traditional tools. It is true for learning. It is true for working. We all experience that. And it opens, of course, for you all, organization in the higher education industry, more international students. I know some of you already have international students, but it is a easiest way to open your doors to students that are motivated, to talents that normally should be traveling miles and miles away to get to attend your classes and get enrolled in your amazing programs. Is also a way to preserve collaborative work and discussion because the purpose of that digital campus, this virtual campus, is to create interaction and atmosphere of a real campus. So guaranteeing the most authentic And like I said, gratifying experience whenever wherever you are, basically. So each student embodies its avatar. The avatar reworks the concept of telepresence by avoiding these tiring aspects I was mentioning before. And finally, and that's something that we've been learning together with Neoma, with our partner, us having the technology and making sure that it is used in a good way, and them having the talents, those future businessmen and women that will go work for different type of organization, different industries probably. It is a way to acculturate students to the current technology. So basically using them in the best way possible to promote maybe more productivity, more collaborative work in their future organizations. So that really is one of the greatest points that we learned together, actually. I will share just here in the chat for all of you a video that Neoma created to showcase this environment. So this would have been possible to be added as a Let's Meet in my campus earlier, but in the virtual way. So just right here, let me share that with you. You will be able to enjoy that video maybe after our panel session and share with us a few thoughts. So right here, you have it in the chat. So I will skip unless Michael had the chance to join us. Can someone tell me if Michael is here with us?
Unfortunately, it's not here with us.
Oh, that's a pity.
Yet.
Thank you so much, hopefully. Well, we'll skip and go directly to a very interesting topic I found, because we've been experiencing at Komodal, but also with our clients now 2 years using those virtual worlds in their complete format, meaning that we've been hosting more than 180 events fully in virtual, and avatars became our best friends, let's say that. And some of them say that they have superpowers for interaction, for relationship in those virtual environments that really emphasize the fact that even though you're using technology, humans are still behind, and emotions are real, moments are real. The meaning of the discussion and conversation you're having keeps this human sensation at all time. So please, I will be leaving the floor to Anta DJIGA, again, presenting her project lead blended learning for Albiways, and she will be talking about her experience inside virtual worlds. I know she has been testing a lot of them, and so she has a lot of avatar stories to tell you and how this serves learning and training.
Well, hi everybody. I hope you hear me clearly. So I'm a chef lead training at a professional training company. So to just start and give you the context of my first experience with the avatars and virtual world, my goal was to organize and lead a training event for a customer, and the goal was to train more than 300 people at the same time last March. So as you can imagine, the remote mode was mandatory. A lot of people, and as a training purpose, we needed to be interactive and highly collaborative. So it's why we choose Virbela. I can say, and Komodal, every people in Komodal know that I wasn't keen of this kind of tool, because I'm really not a video game person, so I don't know the
Yeah, remember that.
Yeah, I really need, and I think it's very interesting to say that and to admit I wasn't keen with that. I don't know the video games codes, everything. Anyway, when we started, and especially when I started to get into that tool, it was so funny and so great, to move and go from a room to another. So anyway, after that context, what I can say about avatars. What my trainers and the participants experienced was really, really the embodiment, as Maroua say, the embodiment. People were so exciting to be together, all together, and touch themselves and talk to each other without any mask. So it was last March. The core of the COVID in France. It was a bit strange, to hear and read the comments of the participants, like, "Oh, it's great, we can be together, we can be close without mask." The avatars do that, not the people themselves. So it's how I really feel the great impact of this kind of tool for training. Even my trainers were, of course, a bit kind of scary, about this tool, because it was their first time, like myself, their first time in this kind of a virtual environment. But when they start their training session, they realized that it was like presential or in-room class, just in another way. So it's different, but you feel and you can reconnect to people as if they were with you. So it's very different from video conference. And it's, I can admit now, I'm a huge fan of this tool, because it's more it's more effective than a video conference. In a video conference, people just, see their face, and they can say, "Oh, sorry, I have a problem with my Wi-Fi, so I can use my webcam." In the virtual world, you have your avatar, so you are personally hide and still in your chair, but your avatar can do many things. You can move like I do. You can turn around. I can go directly through, well, like this. So no COVID problem. I can see there is a lot of people in this room. Maroua, do you think I have something more to say? Do we have any question? I really prefer interactive mode.
Yeah, me too. I'd say it could be interesting to have a few thoughts on your first. Maybe it is the first experience for some of you in the room. If you can share, maybe it can be just saying, "Oh, okay, it was very confusing for me," or for this first experience, it was not as great as imagined. Of course, we're open to answer or to hear from all of you in any way. You can open your mic if you'd like to, or by raising your hand or anything. I can see some people typing right here. So Sudaporan wants to share.
So Sudaporan, it's your first experience. Okay. So
I want to say that it's the first experience. I'm Cecile from Sudaporan, but she was the last avatar dancing during the first award ceremony. So I think that she really found a way to be really part of it.
Okay, so should we say that you had a great experience?
Yes. Thank you very much.
Yes, this tool, Virbela tool, is a very great tool because you can do professional training or professional meetings, but you can also have fun, which is in this time nowadays with COVID and things like that, a very effective and interactive ways to have a lot of people at the same time. You can have fun, but you can also do very professional things. Let's say that people like trainers or, in my case, trainers, they have their avatar, but they also, use their webcam. So people in the room can see real face too. And it's very important to have this other way of, seeing seeing speakers. It's not only about avatars, it's also, you can have your speakers on screen with their webcam.
I totally agree on that, Anta. Maybe to share with the audience, knowing your industry, really tied to training, to learning, so giving a certain knowledge and maybe give growth to the different person you receive, your clients, but also people who are trained by your clients. What would you say are the key qualities or the things to have in mind before going for an experience like this one, or maybe just to get interested in those virtual worlds? What is necessary to have in mind to start using virtual worlds for training and learning?
I think, first of all, you have to keep in mind the objectives for your participants. They are key for everything. And secondly, we are talking about technology. So we have to think in advance, previously, the tech details, and to be sure that everyone will have a check on their computer to be sure that they can, download the app and use it in a very simple and tranquil, if I say.
True. Yeah. So you'd say it's more related to the ergonomy of those tools. Make it easy. Make it as simple as going as in person. Is that what you mean?
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. Okay, right.
And the other thing is, if it's a training, because it was my experience, so I can, only talk about that. It's really to be innovative and to redesign a training content to be sure that it will be as interactive and collaborative as possible using the virtual tools.
Yes, another important aspect. Totally.
Yeah. So it's like, not starting from a blank draft, but kind of.
Right, totally understand. That's something that it will be interesting to hear from you all, because even though we're not speaking about virtual worlds usage, I know all of you were challenged by those digital virtual format that you had to adjust to using Zoom or Teams or whatever. Did you had those type of talents to say, okay, my format is not adequate, is not perfect for those digital tools? Was it challenging for you? What did you put into action inside your organization in your school? I would be very curious to know that. If you're shy, you can type in the chat.
While people are typing or sharing their question in the chat, I would add about embodiment, using the avatar. The first 2 days of my training meeting, my avatar was wearing a sweater. And frankly, me, the real me, on my chair, after one day, I felt so exhausting and so hot that the second day I take off my sweater. I take off the sweater of my avatar, and me, myself, real one, felt so much more comfortable. So the wow effect and the great effect is that because people use avatar, move, can go from a place to another, can sit down, why the wow effect, the knowledge you want to transfer is more effective using a virtual world instead of a video conference.
Thank you so much, Anta. And maybe for the few minutes that are left, I have a very good news. We have with us Michael. So you are very awaited, Michael.
I am.
Oh. But you fought the technical issues. So we were just finishing and sharing about this experience that Anta had in the virtual worlds. And I explained that you had a first all virtual experience this summer with your class, MBA students. So you did and you tried this experience to have your lectures all virtual. So please join us right here. The floor is all yours. I can hear a little bit of echo in your mic. I don't know if you're using a headset. Yeah.
I am using a headset, but
okay. That's better now. I think it's
okay.
It's good.
Okay.
So I already introduced you. They know who you are, so that's perfect.
Okay. Well, let me just give a little bit of extra background. I thought what I would do is talk a little bit about my experiences, a little bit of my background, and then a little bit of an evaluation of where this technology is and where I'd like to see it go. And I think that'll, should pretty much cover things. And then I'm always happy to engage in conversations. I was the chair for the University of Toronto Rotman School of Business task force on digital strategy. So we spent a lot of time prior to the COVID outbreak thinking about the, where was digital strategy, where were these digital tools going? And I think our findings are pretty consistent with what we have experienced. We didn't expect things to move so quickly, obviously, as in the next year, right? But our findings are pretty consistent with the experiences that we had. Our main conclusion, so what we found, I think this is kind of important, what we found when we started was that people and administrators were thinking about these technologies as capacity, debottlenecking our capacity, right? So all of our bricks and mortar classrooms are filled, and that limits the number of students. But if we can offer these online, in virtual spaces and so forth, then we're going to save a lot of money and really expand the program. What it turns out is that the professors then, if you're offering a high quality program, the professors are really the bottleneck, because to give a high quality class, you can't really have giant classes, at least not in a graduate program like ours. And setting up, as you all know, all of you who are teachers at this point know, actually setting up online classes takes up more professor time than just doing it in person. So the debottlenecking argument didn't really seem to be valid. And where we ended up was encouraging the school as the task force to use these new technologies to complement our offerings. In other words, everybody's school is a little bit different. The Rotman School is a research school, so the model is to teach a first-year MBA course that sort of teaches the basics, and then the idea is that research faculty teach second-year electives that are built around their research. And what we're finding is that more and more students are kind of coming in unprepared. They're not really at a level to read academic writing. Their math skills may be a little bit lower than we've seen in the past. And so we saw a lot of opportunity for these technologies to be complementary and really bring our students up to the level that we're hoping for. So that's sort of where I left things. And then for last year's, I teach a digital analytics class to our Masters of Management Analytics, so a data analytics course. And I thought it would be interesting to use this virtual world for that and give it a try. And so we did 100% online. I taught in two rooms. I taught in a room very much like this one, where the student team sat around tables. So the students are assigned to teams. They sit around tables. And then we had another room that had individual computer stands, so that because this was a data analytics class, it's very important for me to be able to walk around the room and see what the students are doing on their computers, right? And so, this was really fantastic. And as I think that you've probably heard, this format is very engaging to the students, like incredibly engaging. I was surprised to see, and other people who have been using this technology have too, that students, for example, will go sit in the same chair, just like they do in the real world. It's like their chair,
right?
Yeah, exactly. And so it's very interesting, way, way, way more engaging than a Zoom lecture. Okay, it's at least one order of magnitude more engaging, and it does solve some problems. So when you're looking at a Zoom lecture these days, oftentimes the students keep their cameras off. Even when they put their cameras on, if this class is very large, there's no way for the professor to really see, you see these little postage stamp size pictures of the students. You can't tell their body language. You can't tell whether they're paying attention. If you do a breakout session, so for example, for most of us that are teaching, we now make heavy use of breakout sessions. So in class, we want to have some engagement. We don't want to just stand up here lecturing. So what we want to do is get the students out, into small groups to solve a problem. Well, if you're using Zoom, what happens is all the students disappear, So you send them to these virtual breakout rooms and they just sort of all disappear. There's no way of communicating with them other than sort of popping into their Zoom session, their sub-session, and traveling around and asking whether they've got questions. Here, you can sort of, turn on this cone of silence around the tables. And as you're seeing right now, I can be looking at the entire class. Each group can be having their own intense conversation that isn't bothering the other students. And if they have a problem, they can raise their hand, right? Or I can kind of walk around and walk into their cone and hear what they're saying and so forth. So this is online, just a much, much, much better way of doing that. The other thing is that when you're in a computer-intensive class, if I'm using Zoom, as I'm going to use that as the main alternative because I think that's what it is, I have to pass the host to the student or give them permission to share a screen. So, we're going through some data analytics exercise where everyone's working through something on their computer, and then a student says, well, I don't know, I'm stuck, I can't get it. And I say, okay, put it up on the screen, and there's all this clunkiness. In the virtual room, all the students are sitting at a table that has a computer screen that reflects what's happening on their computer. So I not only can just simply walk over and look at their screen if they're having a trouble, even if they're not having trouble, I can walk through the room, look over their shoulders, see how they're doing. It's a much more in-person-like experience. And so that is much, much more efficient. So my experience with this was, with this virtual world was fantastic. And if I had to do it over again, I would like to use this technology. I think it's much superior to these sort of Zoom style or Microsoft Teams style technologies. Now, there are some drawbacks, and I think we want to have appropriate expectations.
Exactly, yeah.
Yeah, so first of all, there is a learning curve. So it isn't like if I do a Zoom class now, everybody knows how to do Zoom and we just come on board and off we go. The students have to be onboarded. There's some administrative work that has to happen up front. Then they have to come in and figure out how this stuff works, which takes some time. I would say that although this looks great, you're dealing with Gen Zers and so forth that are used to Call of Duty style graphics and so forth. And it is true that the controls and the moving around and so on take some time, and in my view are still a little bit clunky. Like I think we're going to come to a time when this is much smoother, but I do feel that at the moment it's a little bit clunky. But by and large, I think it's really quite good. Now, one thing that I would,
someone
anyway,
changed the. Yeah, go ahead. Sorry, Michael.
Yeah, no, that's all right. And what I was going to end with, because I don't want to take up too much time, so basically, I give a very big thumbs up to this technology. I think it's great. But here's the thing that I think is very important, because part of the title here is what's the future of this sort of metaverse. This is now sort of the early stages of the metaverse technology, right? This is the thing that we're, thankfully Facebook is advertising for these guys. So you can piggyback on Facebook's advertising of the metaverse, which this is a version of. But what we did find is that when the students came back, so last year the students had 0 in-person classes, that was all online. When our second year MBA students came back, they would basically avoid anything that was online, okay? Anything that was online. So in other words, students would avoid one of the most popular, let's say, asset pricing classes, which would have been their first choice, to take their second, third, or fourth choice class if it met in person. All right, so it's clear that for the students, meeting in person is still very, very important. And I think that has to do in part with their desire to network with each other and network with each other in person. But there are also practical aspects to it. So if I'm in the building and I'm a marketing student, I'm sitting in my finance class, and I know that Jose across the room has a finance background, then on my way out of the class, I might ask a question of him, right? And say, hey, I didn't really understand problem number 5. What was that? Can we talk? And they may go outside and chat about it. Or I may see someone in the lunchroom a little bit later on and say, hey, I'm having some problem with this homework. That sort of very easy, efficient, personal interaction is still very hard to do online. You sort of have to be there or schedule it or something like that. So we found that the students overwhelmingly gravitated toward anything. So we are now this year offering both online, hybrid, and in-person classes. And the mass demand, is for the in-person classes. There's a hunger for that.
Yes.
And that doesn't surprise me, because we're human beings and we actually want to connect with other human beings.
Of course, yeah.
Right? So that's sort of my report on where we've been and where we're going. I believe that you will see, people offering all 100% classes using this format, to hybrid classes, to fully in-person classes. I just think you're going to see a lot more. These tools give us a much greater opportunity for diversification. They're obviously very powerful. The pocket or the segment that I'm interested in is where we can combine these with in-person experiences to really pump up the learning, our learning objectives. And that's it. That's what I had to say. I hope that's helpful.
Thank you so much, Michael. This was very, very interesting to have your point of view. Like I said, it would have been a pity to not have you on stage with us. For us, it is important to be as transparent as possible regarding this technology and where it's going. It's very evolving. Sorry, Michael, I'm just closing your mic for a few seconds. If you want to of course, interact, you'll have to open it. And I'd say that what you're mentioning, thank you, what you're mentioning at the end is that this hybrid version that everyone is looking for and try to hack is very open to each of your goals, each of your, what is your main priority? And we do that at Komodal, try to focus on what's the most important thing that we need to, of course, secure. Is it the interaction? Is it the few materials and resources that you want to set up for your students? Verbala, this platform we are in, is one of the many solutions that are on the market today. I know it can be very extensive and exhaustive, to try to understand and have a clear vision of what's happening right now in this type of technology. But I guess that in a few, let's say very quickly, we will have a shift in that form of using virtual worlds for teaching, for higher education. So I guess it's the right timing to get, let's say, a first impression, and you all did that in these 3 days, having your own experience, and hopefully to try to disseminate those type of learnings, the different thoughts inside your own organization, and hopefully find the best way to use the most relevant technology for the future of your organization. So I'd like to thank you all. Unfortunately, we've passed the time, but please reach out to me for any information or complimentary question you might have. I'm just typing here my email address right here, and we can have a chat after the event for anything you would like to share with us. I would like to thank you again, Michael, Anta, but also Cecile and the team at Universal team for having us today for this panel session. Thank you so much.